Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And as ever, I'm going to date stamp this. This is year 3 blog 24, or in legacy numbers, blog 128, and it's dated the 4th of August 2024. We're in August now. Yes. That means really holidays. When I think about work, I'm pretty sure when I do go back, which will be tomorrow, there's going to bound sure to be a load of holiday requests. People taking things up because we're heading obviously into autumn and then winter, and who really wants to take their holidays off in bad weather unless they're going abroad for the sun? Me, it's all about the rest. I look after my mother, and I don't tend to stray away too far, and she's really a little bit too frail to move any great distances. Her leg, you see, and a few other things when you get older. So it's not always the easiest thing to arrange. But as I said last week, I was going to take a holiday, and I have. This week has been a holiday for me. That means, to be quite honest, where I talk about my emotions, I've had a good week. There's been moments, things that I've read on my phone, um, plans that basically have fell over, that sort of thing, that have dragged it down slightly. But all in all, I think it's been a total win this week. And from that point of view, I'm just dreading going back to work tomorrow. But, you know, you have to mix the rough with the smooth. And all in all, there's been so many pluses, that this week has been a pure joy, really. But we'll get the news out the way first, because then we'll talk a little bit about my week, and then we'll get to all the normal regular stuff. So in the news, yes, we always talk about the war. Just a small section in here. It says that President Zelensky hails strikes on Russian targets as Moscow reports drone barrages. Kiev steps up aerial attacks on Air Force and oil depots. Russia said it intercepted and destroyed 75 drones over regions on the border with Ukraine. So this one was more about a retaliation for all the bombings that Ukraine has decided to use more drones. I think that's because they've got a multitude of those while they wait for heavy artillery, and they've strategically struck targets in Russia, not civilian targets. These are Air Force bases, oil depots, that sort of thing. And it seems like it was a success. I don't look at anything as being a success because I want the war to end. I always keep thinking that it will be ending by a sit round the table and a chat. But I'm naive. I've seen wars before, but I'm still unsure how this one's going to end. I really don't know. In the UK, there's been a lot of news, so we'll move to the UK. This one saddens me. I've basically sat in silence, mourning what I'm just about to read, and it's just distasteful even to read out. But it's a major news article in the UK. This is supposed to date stamp it. This will remind me on just how tough a week it's been for people in the UK. A teenager was charged with murdering 3 girls in Southport stabbing attack and has appeared in court charged with 3 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder and possession of a knife. He is detained in youth custody as he is under 18 years old. The boy also appeared in a Children in Need advert and he has been digitally removed with immediate effect. Yes, I think this is a story heard around the world. It saddens me what world we live in at the moment. To know that these 3 children have had their life cut short, that there are so many in hospital attending injuries. There have been news stories all the way through about how while this was going on, all the kids were running down the street. Some kindly neighbours opened their doors and allowed them in to give them cover, all sorts of stuff. And the follow-on from it all is because of the misinformation on how this occurred, it started riots off. All religious based, I believe. And like I said, it's like knock-on effect after knock-on effect after knock-on effect. And my only comment to make is desperately sorry for all of those people. It saddens me, makes me feel physically sick when I think of the small children, and may they rest in peace. And that's all I really want to say on that. But the Olympics started last week. Reports state so far that it's so far so good in reports of the Olympics, with little protests or crowd disturbances. Currently, England are seated 5th in the table. Not quite sure how many countries joined, but I'm pretty sure it's in the 60 plus area of the Olympics. I need to look into that. But my mother's been watching. She's found that entertaining. And that keeps my mum quiet a little bit. Maybe sitting at the window less, looking at people go by. But it's been a bloody hot week. My God, it's been hot. Sticky at night. Very little breeze. For somebody like me that's quite weighty and suffers from hypertension, I found my energy levels decreasing even further. Walking difficult, but then it's still difficult with my pinched nerve. And all in all, no respite really for trying to cool down. I've drank far too many drinks to keep myself hydrated. All that sort of stuff. Not really fancied eating anything, and when I have, it's been crap. Because I've just walked past and had a cream cracker or had a ham sandwich or something. Yeah. It's so we should be celebrating. Yay, the sun! It's finally here. And when it's finally here, it's bloody hell, it's hot. It wouldn't be Britain if we weren't moaning. That's all I got to say. And that's a happy note. I'm so sorry that were so many sad notes in there, but it is the news. And I do need to date stamp this. And I'm sure when I look back at this, it will bring back, the news will bring back some horrible emotional thoughts. But we now talk about my week, and hopefully this brightens things up a little bit. So yes, as I said, it was a week off. And really, you start your week off the moment you finish work on Friday, don't you? But for me, Friday was filled with watching YouTube. Saturday was collating what I watched on YouTube to prepare for my blog. Sunday was blog. With the nicety of watching a Mamemeister Sunday stream. And then we get to the Monday. So that's where the week, and you go, oh, shall I get up late? Shall I get up later? What am I going to do? And I got up and instantly thought, I haven't done a film capsule review in a long time. Wow, over a week or so. So I knew last week, at the end of last week, I'd watched an old film and a fun film from my past, a Steve Martin film called Roxanne. And I thought, I'll do very little prep. I'll write down what I normally do, and that is, I'll think now what I remember about that film that I watched on Friday, and I'll write down the subject matter of the film. So I wrote down, all of the things that were in it, like community, love, all of this sort of stuff that is in this film, bullying, that sort of stuff. And brought up the internet pages just to bring up some technical information, like how much money it made, when it came out, who the director was, that sort of thing. Stuff that I would have known back then in an instant, but right now I need a prompt. And I started off the capsule review. And I thought, it's going to be a short one. It's going to be a short one. And I started to reminisce and talk about it and all that sort of stuff. And it was becoming easier and easier to talk about. And I finally hit stopped. And no word of a lie, longest capsule review I've done. 26 plus minutes. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? I've got to be a bit more tighter on these things, even this blog. So maybe I'll start cutting things back a little bit. You don't need to know everything. But I put that out, and generally it's been well received. Absolutely fantastic. In the evening, I sort of tied down my visit to see some friends on YouTube for Wednesday. So Monday and most of Tuesday during the day was sort of like, what am I going to need? Booking the train ticket, that sort of thing. And that was fun. I haven't looked at Trainline in ages. When I looked, it was quite easy to do, quite cheap. So from the place I'm at, I'm around about 50 miles from Birmingham. It's a £20 return. Not bad at all. £20 return. My God. Who'd have thought? I thought it was going to be much more expensive, because most of the time when I've gone on the train, I've headed towards London. And depending, just like anything, and I'm sure it was the same going to Birmingham, depending on what train you're getting on, whether you hit it at, commute hours, the price is different. Now, the most expensive ticket for standard was £25, and it only went into the £40-50 if you were travelling first class. Now, I don't need to travel first class. As long as I'm sitting comfortably and my leg is not in pain, standard will do me. This one was a bit tricky, though, because there are stops. And what I didn't realise was, no matter what I chose, my particular train station said I start off on a bus. I thought, this is weird. Why is it a bus? Anyway, I didn't question it. The bus took you only, I don't know, 12, 13 miles of the way before you then got to a train station, and it was all train all the way. So, thought next to nothing about it, to be quite honest. But what I will say is the train was the nicest part of it. The bus was the nicest part of it. Air conditioned, smooth. It might be because of the time I went that it made it such a seamless thing. Because we'll get to Wednesday and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But the only thing that happened Tuesday night really was an old pal of mine, Ryan, who, his channel, what's it called? Let's Get Kicking. He decided that he was going to do a broadcast that night, and explain that his mental health is so much better. He's had some time off. He's been watching some films. He's looking forward to coming back. He's not quite sure what the channel will involve. Everything is up in the air, but he's excited again. And I think that was wonderful. He brought up some topics about the decline of cinema, about the project that I was involved in, which was the beginning of VHS renting films, the streaming service, and whether it's killing an awful lot of what we call physical media. And he asked in the room lots and lots of questions, and then he sort of invited me on in a weird way. And I came on just for literally 25 minutes. I didn't want to spoil his comeback. I raised some things with him, told him how pleased I was that he was coming back, and to, basically, if I was to give any advice, take it slow and careful and just do the things that you enjoy. So that was fun. But Tuesday night means I'm very, very close to Wednesday and going to Birmingham. So that's the reason why I kept that down to 20 minutes. And when Wednesday came along, I'd booked my ticket for 8 o'clock. So I needed to get down to the train station for that time. And even though I've got a pinched nerve and everything, I did walk on Monday and Tuesday for a good mile or so. And I needed to make sure that my leg would be strong enough to walk around Birmingham. So I decided I won't go by car. I won't book a taxi. I will walk to the train station. In the old days, walking down to the train station would have took me 10, 15 minutes, and it's all downhill. So there's me stupidly thinking, downhill, doddle. No. So I went slowly. It wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be now. It actually was manageable. But as you're going down, of course, you're on an uneven surface. So, of course, you're putting even more pressure if you're flat-footed on your left, which I've become flat-footed, purely because of arthritis of the knee. So I was in not great pain, but I was going slow and I could feel the pain. I did think ahead, and I took some painkillers with me and an anti-inflammatory pill, just in case I needed them. Doesn't mean I have to take them, just in case I needed them. And I got down there and I found out why it was bus, and it's not because of any trains, not because of any track stuff. It's because they're internally renovating the train station. So, of course, everything that leaves Banbury, where I live, was bus. I got myself a coffee, and it was pleasant. Travelled to Leamington, get on the train. Of course, I made a mistake thinking that the train took me directly to Birmingham New Street. It didn't. It took you to Birmingham Moor Street. And I was talking to the guys because I'm sure I read on the ticket, on the email, that there was a 10-15 minute wait for when the train was going to be there. I spoke to these guys and they were saying, oh, no, it's Moor Street. And they looked at the ticket and said, yeah, look, you've got to get to Moor Street, and then it's a walk to New Street. I went, oh, it's me, sorry. And by the time I got to the top, the train had moved away. Literally, the train was there for 5 minutes. It wasn't 17 minutes like it was on the ticket. It was 5 minutes. And so I had to wait for the next one. The good news is I planned to be there for 10, and at this point, the train had gone at 8:40 and the next one was 9:01. Weird time that, 9:01. But anyway, 9:01. Had a lovely chat with this guy who's a graphic designer. He was talking about what projects he was working on and the complexities of working at home when it's a graphic design job. And then I got to Birmingham Moor Street, and the guy said, I've got to walk past New Street so you can follow me. Brilliant. He walked a bit fast, but I managed. And I got to the outside of Birmingham New Street and walked into the main sort of like foyer part. Now, what you got to remember about any train station, especially a large, one that's as big as Birmingham's and big as Paddington and all of those in London and so forth, several entrances coming in. You know what I mean? So I have no idea which way I'm coming in. But at this time it was 10 to 10. So I thought, I've got to sit down. And when I sat down, I finally sent my text messages to my two buddies and told them I'm here and I'm by the Bullring Bull. What I didn't tell them was which Bullring Bull, because I was sitting next to the newest one called Aussie, the mechanical Birmingham Bull. So the people I was meeting up with, by the way, two lovely guys, Denny and Jim Jam. Denny said, I'm by the bull, sent me a picture of it. I said, I'm not by that bull, I'm by this bull. I'm looking at its arse. I took a picture of it. And he went, oh, I've got to head back. I'll see you in about 5 to 10 minutes. And he finally got to me, and literally it was just a couple of minutes past 10. For which we, shook each other's hands, said, what are we going to do? We went to Starbucks because we were waiting for Jim Jam, and we thought we better send a text message to say we're here and where we are. That was funny. And of course, Denny, being the most generous person, just like Mamemeister, bought me a coffee. We sat down, started chatting while we waited for our friend Jim Jam. And he was running a bit behind. And to be quite honest, we don't mind that, but I'm sure he was going, oh, they're going to kill me. When they see me, they're going to kill me. I'm late, all of this sort of stuff. And to be quite honest, no, furthest from it. And he finally turned up. I think it was about 20, 25 past 10. Nothing. Remember, I've got all the way till, 3:15, somewhere like that, for me to get back. So we've got plenty of time. And he sat down and we had a little chat. We talked about all of the things that were affecting our lives. Denny and I gave what we considered to be, I think, good advice in regards to when things are bad. We talked about all the things that were bad in our lives and that nobody should be alone. That whenever a person should be like that, feel free to give me a call. I've always loved calls rather than doing everything in a blog or waiting to do a chat. I've loved FaceTime and all of that sort of stuff. I found it a great shame that with quite a lot of friends, that our conversations were only if somebody felt like starting a chat. It was never, oh, I wonder how he is. Do you know what I mean? Which doesn't make you feel like a friend, really. It's almost like, are you only chatting to me because I started a chat? But those are, again, negative thoughts, and I try not to think about those. So we then sort of like stood up and said, where are we going? Where are we going, lads? What are we going to do? And we've said, well, get out of here for a start. And then we'll probably go round some of the charity stores. And that's fine by me. Stuff that pick up that is cheap. A chance or an opportunity to treat my friends for inviting me along, for finally meeting them. Wonderful. And we we thought we'd do some recording and stuff. I never actually got around to doing any recording, and I felt really bad. But I did bring a little tripod-y thing along, and Jim Jam had already started doing recordings all the way, which I didn't know about, all the way getting to meet us. So he continued, and I'm not I'm not handsome, I'm not enigmatic. I sometimes think that if I do a joke, it's far off the mark. You know what I mean? Not funny. And I'm terrible at doing, throw everything at the wall and something will stick. Something will be funny. But of course, you can't help but be funny around Jim Jam. And he said, right, we're outside Kex. And I went, yeah, is it Kex? Is it sex? No idea. So he'd started the recording off, I didn't know. And there was this woman, right, standing right next to us. And I said, right, we're going into this store then for sex. Right, let's go in then. And then it was just recording and recording and recording. And it was great. I picked up something from sex, as did, I think, Denny. I don't think Jim Jam did. Not sure. I'm thinking back now. Did we all find something? Not sure. But we persevered on, and we went to some other charity stores. I remember going into I think a British Heart Foundation's. But the highlight, I think, of going into the store was HMV. It was called the Vault. I forgot it was called the Vault when it was taught to me a little bit later on in the week. I just call it HMV, you see. And what you have to remember about all of this stuff, it sounds really quite boring, I mean, surely you could have done something else. But all of the time that we were walking, these two friends were talking about their past. And, do you remember walking down Corporation Street? See that building over there? That was a nightclub in my 20s. I went there. It was a different time. Bopping away to music, picking up girls, blah, 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 blah. So, this is the highlight for me, learning about my friends, what they got up to, the streets that they've always walked along, the shops that they used to go into, the shops that have now changed and become this. So I think I bought 4 Open All Hours. So series 1 to 4 of Open All Hours, £1 each. That was right. Because I'd already got Open All Hours season 2, but I hadn't got 1, 3, and 4. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Even if I've got 2 of these and I've picked up 4 and I've got 2 of them already, I could take them back into the charity shop and say, there you are, love. 2 for your shelf. In other words, you got a donation from me. And I thought, what a great idea. That's giving to charity, isn't it? Brilliant. And we then went to a cash converters, and unfortunately, from the outside, it looked like it was going to be like a normal cash converters with lots of games and videos and stuff in there. I made a stupid joke saying, I think they accept pounds in this cash converters, because converting money, you see, crap joke. See what I mean about thinking on your feet, crap. We walked in and it was selling power tools and stuff. It was that cash converters, the type that sell DJ equipment and stuff. So we walked out of there. HMV was the next one, and that's where we were in there for quite some time. And the first thing we did was I had to pose next to a Wolverine and Deadpool sort of standee. I think Denny had the hardest thing because Jim Jam said, come on, you got to pose like Deadpool. And Denny went, well, how does Deadpool pose? And he's quite right. There isn't a particular pose for the merc with the mouth. That's who Deadpool is, the merc with the mouth. And so many people, by the way, don't even know this, but he's an X-Man. He's part of the X-Man family. If you look at the comics, he would have appeared in his own comic, but he's part of the X-Men group. But anyway, I did my Wolverine pose, which is sort of like where he beefs himself up with his claws sort of facing inwards, but he looked more like the Incredible Bulk than Wolverine. And we walked in, and I said to the lads, look, lads, one thing that I'd really want to do, and I don't want there to be an argument about it, there is always a section in here that's like 2 for 30 quid, 2 for 15 quid, whatever. Please choose one Jim Jam. Please choose one Denny. That's my gift to you. Don't think about the cost and all that sort of stuff. It's me buying you a pint. Choose one, please. And so we all sort of split up and looked at our own stuff, and I managed to pick up 2 bargains. Well, not bargains. 2 films, and I haven't been in a HMV and bought something from HMV in years. So it's sort of like a first for me, because I've been buying things from Amazon and Zavvi and HMV and so forth for so long. It's good that I've sort of like was also giving to the high street a little bit. It didn't matter if I was buying at a normal price. Do you see what I mean? So I'll show you what I bought later on. They walked around and bought their own things, helped each other out as well, because Denny bought 3 things and he needed 1 extra to make it the 4th, to make it cheaper. And of course, Jim Jam then got something there as well. So it all worked out really well. I then went to pay for them. They paid for their own stuff as well. And it got to the point where it's, wow, we're all a bit peckish now, I think, aren't we? That brings me to having a drink. So we went to a Burger King. And there's another thing. You see, for me, Burger King, the closest Burger King to me now is about 15 miles away. Our Burger King closed down. So I haven't had some of my, burger deals in 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, it must be that. Might be sooner. I might be missing one, but obviously, it's if you have one meal in a year, you're not going to remember it very much. But I'm pretty sure it's been 3 to 4 years. Even when I went to see Mamemeister in London, I don't think we had a Burger King. I think we went to like 3 Guys Called Joe or something. I can't even remember the title of that one. So I picked up my normal, going, oh yeah, I haven't had this in ages. I had an XL bacon double cheeseburger, for which Denny went, oh God, no, all that beef, because he wants chicken. But it's all done with these big panels. They're like advertising boards, but touchscreen. I didn't want to pay by card because I had cash on me. So I wanted to use the cash because I'd already spent on my card in HMV. So I picked my order, and I didn't see my order come up. Of course, they picked their order and got their order, and I had to go up to this lady and say, why is my number not come up? She said, have you paid? I went, I thought I'd pay when I pick it up. It's going to be prepped. No, you have to pay first, get in this queue here, pay here, then go back into this, and it'll be prepped. Oh, Christ. So, pay me money. Bloody expensive as well, a meal deal. Is £12 for a meal deal expensive? I mean, this was a burger, large fries, and a large drink. Anyway, not going to complain about that. Finally got my meal, and then they said, oh, there's no room down here, we'll have to walk up the stairs. Of course, my leg's in pain, isn't it? Got up the stairs, managed it just about okay, although I was a bit wobbly, nearly falling backwards at one point, because you're carrying a tray as well, remember, and a rucksack on your back. Got up there and found I got no sauce. And then they all told me, oh yeah, you have to pay for that. I went, oh, for goodness sake. So I got down there and I said, do you have to pay for sauce? I wasn't given any sauce. Oh no, here you go, love. And they gave me 3 sachets of sauce. I keep forgetting. Do you remember back in the day when they had the sauce on the right-hand side? You could pick up as much as you want. They had all the sugar and all that sort of stuff. Nah, they have to give it you now. And they look at you like with daggers if you ask for more than 3 sachets. Oh no, you can't have 3. It's a meal. You're not taking a bottle home with you. Okay, all right. Anyway, got my sauce, got upstairs. Then I didn't have a straw for my drink, did I? Oh, I can't go downstairs and get it and kill me. We had a nice chat. we looked at our stuff that we'd bought, and we were in there for about, I don't know, 40 minutes. We were talking about our lives again, growing up, family, that sort of thing. It was more family what we were talking about in Burger King, and that was nice. You know, knowing a little bit about Denny's partner, knowing a little bit about Jim Jam and his family, great. No, again, taking it in, I know a lot more. And I remembered that there was something that was going to happen, but we didn't know where it was, about a themed bar that had arcade games and pinballs. And we couldn't remember if it was our friend Jambon that showed this picture. But we looked and we found a similar thing, but it was just pinball machines. And it was a coffee house. And when we got there, it wasn't in a nice place. And there was nobody in there. And it didn't look like the best place to be. So we decided we're going to Forbidden Planet instead, which was just round the corner. And I haven't been in a Forbidden Planet in years. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm big into comic books and everything. But when I buy my comics, I buy it from a lovely couple, by the way. Terry runs it. And that's where I get all my comics from. And it was quite nice going in there. But what I realised when I went into Forbidden Planet is just how expensive things are, and why the industry is sort of like falling down a little bit when it comes to places like Forbidden Planet. I much prefer the independent ones with the big racks of past comics. This one was just all the stuff that came out this week or this month. And then lots of graphic novels, lots of Funko stuff, Funko figures, some expensive statues and toys. But we were in there for half an hour, had a ball of a time. I pointed out why these hot toys were so expensive. I sort of explained to them, look at that comic up there, look, there's 4 versions of it, look. That's 3 variants and the standard edition. And if you're a collector, you'd buy all 4. That's what a collector does. And the variants are expensive to the shop because they have to order so many of the standard edition to get the variant. So these variants are usually things like 1 in 10, 1 in 25. So these are ratios, by the way. So that means you have to buy 10 regular issues to get the 1 variant, or 25 issues to get this 1 variant. And there's even ratios of 1 in 1,000, which means that the store would have to buy 1,000 issues of the standard edition to get this 1 variant edition. And then that puts the cost up of the variant. You see what I mean? And I was telling them, this is what's happening with the physical media world at the moment. There are now different slipcovers and different steelbooks with different artwork to make you buy it twice. It's the same film. But, so everything inside it's the same. The artwork is different, and that means you have to pay the premium price for both. Wrong. If they want to do something like that, what I think they ought to do is do a deal for the person that's the collector and say, if you buy this at the same time, then you get the second one for a tenner or something, right? It doesn't make sense otherwise. So you'll tend to find that I rarely have got multiple versions of the same film. If I have, it's because it's the collector in me. And it's the collector in me that goes into my other hobby, comics. So if my main character is Spider-Man. So if Spider-Man No Way Home was coming out, and it was coming out on Blu-ray, 3D, 4K, steelbook, slipcover, blah, I buy them. Right? And it's the only thing I do. I don't do it for everything else. Like Ghostbusters, go, go away. Ferrari, go away. Le Mans, go away. Gran Turismo, go away. It's, these are multiple ones that have come out. And like I say, it's very rare if I buy it just for the artwork. It's not about the artwork, it's about the film for me. But Spider-Man is something where, yeah, I lose my head. And I go, yeah. But hey, why not lose your head every once in a while? It's not like that film, like they're going to do a film every year. It's like every 2 to 3 years for Spider-Man. So, it's not like it's going to kill me, So we left Forbidden Planet, and it was the time to walk back to Moore Street. Of course, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't know quite where I'm at, but the guys instantly put their hands up and said, "We'll walk with you. We've just got to go back to our places that are close to Birmingham. You've got to travel all the way back Oxfordshire, so we'll come with you." And they waited outside for me. I managed to get a couple of drinks from a newsagent, and we said our goodbyes. And I said I'd text them when I get home. And got on the train at 3:15, and got into Leamington at 4:00. And the next one was a little bit more tricky. And the reason for that was the traffic on the motorway at 4:00 is so much different to 8:00 in the morning. So that bus travel was longer, but the air conditioning, just lovely. And I got to the train station, and there's the dilemma. What do I do now? Because I walked down, do I walk back up? And risk it, or get a taxi? And I walked. I thought, I need to strengthen my leg. Really do need to strengthen my leg. But it's uphill, and it's one of the biggest hills in my town. And it took me a long time. I mean, we're talking 20 minutes to get there in the morning. It was 45 minutes, and it was on a gradient like that. So I took it steady. I could feel my chest a little bit, even though that chest pain has minimized slightly since the first operation I've had, because they did widen the artery at the top. Even though they didn't put any stent in, they widened it, and that's helped a little bit. I'll talk about the operation in a little bit. But I got in, and instantly I got in, I sent a text message. In fact, actually, I sent a text message while I was going on the way up, because I had to stop at certain points. I had to go, I'm sorry, I've got to stop. And I said, I'm about 10 minutes from home. Hope you got home all right, and all of this sort of stuff. And I got in, and my mum said, how was your day? I said, it was great. She thought I'd been to work. I told my mum where I was going, but she thought I'd been at work. So it was like a seamless day to her. I'd normally go to work on a Wednesday, out of the house to an office. And that worked out absolutely brilliantly. Made her a cup of tea. Sat down. Knew I mustn't get to sleep because I had a live stream to do that evening. And looked forward to Jim Jam's footage. The live stream came along. I hadn't been asleep. Really proud of myself that I've been awake without falling asleep, even on the travel on the train or anything. Had a great time with Ian. Talked about just about everything. We had a chat afterwards, and just like anything, because I have a chat afterwards, it sometimes goes till about 1 a.m. These things happen. If a stream ends at 12:00, we have a chat for an hour afterwards. And of course, I've got to get my tablets and everything and get to bed. And then I've got to watch the footage from Jim Jam, haven't I? And I watched it, and how embarrassing it is for me. Oh my God. The funniest bit was him trying to get to us. He was going, they're going to kill me. I got to find them. I don't know where they are. I've got a picture of a backside of a bull, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. But I've got something to remind me of that day, and I downloaded it immediately. And what a day we had. And he put outtakes at the end. It just happened to be me swearing, didn't it? I'm not a big swearer, but yeah, I did. when there's three of us around and I don't think we're being filmed, I'm going, that bastard over there, look. You know. So, anyway, Wednesday ended on a high. Thursday comes along, you know, and it's just a sort of like a rest day for me. I was in pain most of Thursday, I have to say, and I was falling asleep an awful lot. And I'm not surprised. I'd got through a very, very long day for the first time in an age. And I didn't think to myself, it hurts really just to sit back and have that rested day that you did nothing in, really. Couple of text messages came through that weren't very nice, but they were purely on things relating to pre-orders that my friend and I have got on order and so forth. So, you know, I can understand the frustration of my friend not knowing when this title is going to arrive. And Friday comes along, and I'm going to do my chat. So on Tuesday, I put out a message to say that I was going to do a chat for the first time in absolute ages. Tuesday that went out, and on Thursday I put out the reminder. And like anything, I don't like to cause a BBC One and an ITV conundrum, a fight between two great chats that would be going on where somebody has to make a decision. But unfortunately, like I say, as much as I've spent weeks and weeks and weeks avoiding a chat conflict, a chat conflict did occur. And they decided to do a one-off chat, and that's their prerogative to do so. And the only sad side of that is that I did advertise on Tuesday, all of that sort of stuff. But you got to remember that, you know, not all of your friends watch your stuff. You know, they've got their own busy lives. Probably didn't see the alert. Might not even be subscribed to me. I don't know. But when I spoke to Denny about it and said, well, what should we do? And Jim Jam, I came to the conclusion, just do it. We'll enjoy ourselves because we're going to have a chat. Anybody that pops in, hopefully they'll enjoy it. Maybe they'll watch it afterwards. And that's what we did. The thing about it is, though, is that anybody that knows chat, you tend to find people don't really go to the catch-ups. They want to ask the questions. They want the joy of hearing their name come out. So, yes, the main live part is important to me than people playing catch-up. So, I don't really want to do something where there's only 5 people. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, even now, I will avoid a conflict of a chat to them because it's a common courtesy for me. It's not about fuck the rest, just do what you want to do. That's a blatant remark as far as I'm concerned. If you noticed, my blog has always been about community. See these people, talk to these people, go to their brilliant. Their stuff is fantastic. This chat was brilliant, etc., etc. So I'm never ever going to try and cause a conflict as an argument for doing it or in a schedule for arranging it. So as far as I was concerned, I went, it's about the fun. And boy, did we have fun on Friday. Oh my God. We talked about everything. People were asking questions. And I was happy, to see the sort of numbers that would be there if there was no chat going on. We're not talking high numbers here. We're talking at one particular time there was 16 people watching us at one time. And by the time the end of the stream, the numbers were up to 130 watches. And to me, that to me, A, is a success because I had fun with my friends, and B, a success because people watched it. 130 odd people, brilliant. And now it stands at over 200. Spot. It's all I can hope for. I'm not known for doing chats. I do chats because people sometimes ask me, why don't you? You don't do enough live stuff. You do your blog, that's recorded. You do your capsule reviews, you do your statues, you do all of this sort of stuff, all recorded. Don't do enough live stuff. And you definitely don't do enough gaming stuff. Gonna change. From this moment on, excuse me. Gonna change. I'll never give up the community stuff and shouting things out. But it won't be the same people all the time. It will turn into something that I've seen and is great. And as many names as I can put in the description, I will, to go and see people, If I miss someone, sorry, but you'll probably appear in the next one. It's not going to be the same one that's just copy and pasted in. So that's my assurance to everybody. So Saturday then turned into blog prep day, and Sunday here we are. So that's my week. What a great week. How can you not turn around and say how many good positives there were in there? There's some things that let you down, but that's life. And those things that let me down, there was no malice in any of it. Do you know what I mean? I look at things as being, my friends wouldn't do that. It's just, they have their own channel. They got their own things to do. They probably didn't even see it. So don't fret over it. Do what's enjoyable to you. And that's the thing I've learned. And it's taken a long time. Don't get me wrong. I told you I'm not perfect. So there we are. So we're now going to move into the shout outs, because by God, that was a long thing to talk about, but it needed to be said. So I might need to cut other things down a little bit, and I do apologize if I don't read out names or stuff needs to be cut out. But it's just, this is a blog about a diary, and a diary is about me. So there are going to be weeks where I've got a week off and I'm going to talk about me more, aren't I? So anyway, shout outs. Thank you so much for all these shout outs. And thank you so much for any questions that future I'm going to be reading out in a moment. The ones that I'm going to read out have all left their name and a comment. They are Wee Bob Art, Ian Hill The Ramblings, Muckman-Movies, Colin Jones aka Ponder, Denny, Martroid, Mark Fletcher, Steve Mulls, Steve's Gaming, Jambon, Carl Todd, Roberts Retro Gaming. What a lot. And like I say, every single one really appreciative of. But because of the time, we're going to go straight into the comments that they left or the questions they might have asked. And these are in no particular order. The first one is from my friend Jambon. Brilliant. Now, I know he's had a few things going on, so let's see what he's put. He's put, "Hi, Dell. Hope you are well. I haven't managed to watch your last blog yet, but hoping to catch up today, Sunday. As you know, we have had to vacate our house and are staying at our parents' house. We're in between places. It did give me an idea for a question, though, if that's okay. Please, do you have any practical tips for living with elderly relatives that you can share, please? I know this doesn't apply to you because your youthful mum is just 21. You wait till I tell her that, Jambon. My mum's 21. Yeah, but would appreciate any insights you might have. Take care, mate, and all the best." I suppose you could look at this from two angles, because yes, I'm living with my mother and it's her house, but I've been living that way for a long period of time where you're living for a short period of time while something goes on at your house. So you'll feel, even though it's the the home that you've probably lived in before, you're more a guest. From that point of view, try, if you can, to make it like not that you're a guest. Try to be more hands-on. You know, take it like this: if when my friend Mamemeister came to my house, I didn't expect him to turn around and say, "Let me make your mum a cup of tea." Right? We, as the householders, wanted to make them feel comfortable, but your mum and your dad, or your parents, are going to want to do that for you as well, but they're elderly. So you need to sort of like go in and just, have the pleasant conversation and go, "I'm going to get you a cup of tea, mum. Do you want a cup of tea? Coffee?" And I fancy going out for a meal tonight, mum. Do you want to come out? Or I tell you what, let's stuff the washing up and all that sort of stuff. Let's have a takeaway. That sort of thing. And then you know more about your parents than I do. But if they've got any sort of disability, don't hark upon it, but do recognize that you sometimes have to take over as the parent role now, and go. And if they start talking about I don't care about my meds and all of this sort of stuff, if that sort of conversation comes up, then say it's bloody important. Just do you think I want you to, not be around? I want you to live forever. I know that ain't going to happen, but I want you to live as long as you can. If you're not going to the doctors, I'm going to make sure you go to the doctors. But you got to sort of do it in a way that, doesn't come across forceful or causes an argument. And that's the biggest problem that I have, is I told my mother that at some point it might well be that you will complain too much about not going to the doctors, and I'll have to get a district nurse to come up and see her. And my mother's response to that will be, you get a district nurse in and you're out of this house. And that's a threat of a sort. I know my mum would never fall in with it. She's just trying to turn around and say, I don't want you to do this. I haven't got to the stage where her health is so bad that needs to be done. I keep an eye on everything, her medication, make sure that she's actually done a repeat prescription, all of this sort of stuff. My sister comes in and does the electrical reading and the gas reading, even though I could do that, but she set up the direct debit so she knows what the companies are. I pay the water rates and the TV license and whatever else that needs to be done at those places where you can't do it at the post office anymore. Those money places, where pay whatever it is are in news agencies and stuff. I do that. I make sure I hoover and duster. I do the washing up where I can. I make plenty of cups of tea through the day. All of that sort of stuff. And the rest of it is talk about the important stuff when it becomes appropriate to do so, and always show that you're caring. And that's the best that you can do. And that's going to be hard to balance with you having a partner, because you also need to care for your partner as well. Make sure that that person is getting all the love and attention as much as your parents are. So you are going to split. You're going to need to split your time. There is going to be a time where you're going to have to go up to your parents and say, I'm going out now, mum, to the pictures with, my partner. Back in a couple of hours. Do you need anything when you come back? And there's the thing. You bring them into it by saying, I could bring something back for you. Newspaper, crossword book, Slurpee, whatever, So that's the best advice I can give, matey. Probably not the best advice in the world. I'm still learning. And believe me, every day is a learning thing. But I know my mum loves me. I know we bang heads on occasion when we have to. Because my mum is just as stern and as stiff as I am in regards to it's going to be done this way or the highway, you know. It's just us loving each other and getting on with it. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. Brilliant. And I do hope that house gets sorted out. Pity about Pinfest this year. That's the one regret I'm going to have. And I don't know. It's going to be a sad time for me, I think, when I reach that day. And we moved to Carl Todd. Now, Carl Todd's left free, and I don't know quite why they're free. They're all set within the same minute of each other, and they're all different. I'll read the bottom one first, but reading up. Hi, Del. So this is from Carl Todd, by the way. Hi, Del. I've been very busy recently. I'm cutting it fine today, so I'm not sure if I'll miss your deadline. I hope your back is getting better and your mum is well too. Let's jump straight to the questions. 1. There's a bit of a backstory with this one. I'm backing a Kickstarter project by Brian Bagnall, who has written several books about Commodore. In his latest update, he mentioned testing a LLM, language learning module, to create a Commodore 64 game in BASIC. This worked to create a simple adventure game. He then started imagining how much technology could progress in the future, such as converting BASIC to assembler or machine code to increase performance, optimizing existing games to get rid of issues that cause slowdown, and maybe even fix bugs or improve graphics, etc. So my question is, in the future, if AI could be used to alter, improve existing retro games, what games would you improve and what changes would you make? So there's a question there, but I'm going to read the next one because it might be a correction. He says later on, I added a comment about the LLM, but it was deleted. Oh, well, it wasn't, Carl. I'll try again. The LLM used was Claude. The request was, using BASIC 2.0 for the Commodore 64, write a program that is text adventure game with 4 different rooms of a dilapidated farmhouse. Each room has a description of the room. The intro text of the game says that you just woke up and have no idea how you got there. For now, all you can do is move in one of 4 cardinal directions. Some directions you won't be able to move if there is no room in that direction. Please do it all in lowercase. If you use uppercase, it messes things up when I copy and paste into WinVice. Also, if you go over 60 characters in a line, it won't accept that line. And then this last section, Carl Todd, you've put, quick question, not really related to the blog. The postman, or do I need to say now post person, has just been and dropped off an envelope that contained the replacement disc free for the Picard final season. Did you get a replacement? ? Wow. Okay, Carl. Wow, there's a lot for me to take in there. So you're back in a project that sounds very much like a copy of the Quill. Am I wrong in there? The adventure writing program, Quill? No idea if this is cartridge based. It's a language learning module. I don't know if it's a book or what. He's asking you to write an adventure game with 4 rooms. Your question is, could AI be used to alter, improve an existing retro game? Yes? Dare say it could. I think AI would work better with this language learning module. But the way I'd like AI to work with that is not to take anything away from the imagination of the person writing the game. I don't want to see text written by the AI. I want everything like that, and all of the puzzles and all of the story and everything to be totally created by the person writing it. Now, when it comes to the rest, where you said where AI could be a benefit, yeah. How about it converting to machine language? That would speed the whole thing up. But we've got compilers that can do that. But then the AI can look at that compiled program and start altering some of the arrays and mathematics used to speed up the game without changing any of the context of the text. It can also be used as a quick bug testing Instead of a person having to bug test it, the AI could look at it and do all of the loop tests. You know, keep going north, ends, north, south, keep going north, south, thousands of times to see if it breaks it, etc., etc., etc. AI could be used in many different ways that I think is great, but just as Colin has always said, and what I already know, it's rubbish in, rubbish out. And so AI tools are quite good. I don't like AI used in things like chat rooms and all of this sort of stuff. Yes, we can move into that later on when we know an awful lot more about how AI could be of benefit to us. I want it to do all the tedious bits where the person has already written a tedious bit but is being optimized. That's the word, optimized. To make it tidier, smaller, without taking anything away from the creativity of the product. Yeah. That's how I would do it. Can I think of any games? All the adventure ones, all the old ones back in the day that were in BASIC, compile them to machine code. It could do it in seconds. Point and click adventures probably could benefit from that as well. Less so arcade games. Arcade games, obviously they were written in BASIC and turned into machine code, yeah. But ones like in the arcade where AI can step in and make a better product, no. I've tended to find that the quality of arcade games was pretty high anyway. But when we're talking about games that are modern now that we're seeing on Steam and that, and indie games and all of that sort of stuff, I can see AI being used in a good way for testing code and that sort of thing. I just don't want to see it write a whole chapter of something and then calling it the AI chapter, where they stepped back, let this thing write a part of the game, and then you then take back over and finish it off. Right? No. Don't want any of that. Thank you so much. I am going to have to move on because of time, but thank you so much, Carl, for taking your time out. Wow, you did 3 things there for me. I can't ask for anything more from you. I wish you well. I have one thing for you. You mentioned about Picard. Now, I think you mentioned it before, but I'd forgotten, and I'd forgotten again today. So I haven't requested it. However, I think somebody mentioned about Titanic, and that's Universal, and I think Picard is Universal. I asked for a disc replacement for the Titanic. I got an email back from Paramount saying, "Can you give us the barcode, please?" I gave them the barcode. They then came back and said, "Give us the proof of purchase." I gave them the proof of purchase, and nothing. I then started the process again, went through the whole process again, nothing. And just before, so when it comes to Picard, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same process. Can you give me more information, please, matey, if you can? Can you, I don't know how you can get in touch with me, if you can leave a comment. I am on Discord, Mamemeister's Discord, if you're on there. I am on Facebook. I'm not on anything else, Instagram, Twitter, or any of that sort of stuff. There must be some way. I'll do a little bit of research on it, but I'm betting you any money it's the same return program process. And I also don't know whether the replacement program is for America. And because I'm in the UK, they just don't bother. Because that's what was happening with the Titanic. It was all going to Paramount America. And I never heard back as soon as I put that I was in the UK. So maybe actually they fixed the problem before it came over here, because I believe, if I remember rightly, Picard came out in America before it came out over here. So maybe they fixed the problem. I don't know. Salute, my friend, and we move to Robert's Retro Gaming. Hi, Dell. I have been occupied. Oh, and by the way, royalty. Sorry, I have to bow. Robert, you great monarch. Right. Hi, Dell. Hi, Dell. I've been occupied with a death in the family and a wedding. Oh, sorry to hear that. My God, it's so bad, some of the things that are going on in people's lives. The last couple of weeks. Now I'm on vacation with my wife's family. Well, something nice. I haven't managed to watch much, but I did see about 45 minutes of this episode. I hope you are keeping well, and I hope to be a more regular watcher soon. Don't, my God, man. I'm just so glad you support me. I'd love to do something with you. I've said that. I'd love to do more with you guys. You know, with you, Robert, I'd love to do something together. With Steve, I'd love to do something together. With Mamemeister, we do some things together. They're very long in between things. Sometimes they're not also something that I might have a problem with. You know, the subject matter might be something that I'm not totally know an awful lot about with or do or whatever, but I'm willing to learn, and anything that where I'm collaborating with a friend, I'm going to jump at the chance. Of course I am. It's why I like the chats and stuff. They're brilliant to do. So don't worry about it, mate. Thank you so much. And then I've just seen the name of the next thing that's coming up. I'm going to need a bigger drink. There's a Jaws reference. We're going to need a bigger boat. I'm going to need a bigger drink. It's my mate Denny. Chapter and verse. Here we go. Line 1 of 2000. What? No, seriously, there's not 2000 lines. Denny, hiya, mate. Well, what a week. Great meet-up on Wednesday with Jim Jam and a Friday night meet-up with Ian as well. A great pick-me-up for all of us. I was going to say, where was my name mentioned in all of this? Yeah, we did. Brilliant times, matey. Absolutely fantastic. On a sadder note, I'm just going to say on the subject is my heart goes out to the parents that lost their angels in Southport. I hope they find the strength to carry on at some point in their lives. Yes. I mentioned it myself, matey. It's a difficult subject. Do you bring it up? Do you not? I brought it up because it's the news. It's the biggest news article of the week. And I have to also think that this affects all of my friends that, you know, that see the news. You know, what are we thinking as you know, as a community amongst ourselves? Squabbling about little things when a big thing like this goes on. Lives lost. Yeah, matey, heartfelt. Thank you so much for that. The incident at Manchester Airport. Did the police officer go too far? Question mark. Now, before I go any further with this, I just want to make out that I did say this was very early days, but I also knew, and I said this in the blog, I believe there was something that happened before it. And I did mention that somebody got their nose broke because of all of this. And what I meant by that was these are the security people that were getting hit. There was a girl that got her nose broke. There was a security guard being pushed and provoked and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, you continue. Since your last blog, new footage has come to light showing an alteration earlier on, an attack on the police. Armed police at that, which was so vicious, a lady police officer had her nose broken and then tasered. That's the bit that I mentioned last week, matey. Yes. They should have been arrested, pending an investigation at least. But what I was actually talking about was, does that also mean, therefore, that somebody can stamp on someone's head? That was the point. And less said about it, the best, because to be quite honest, I knew that people don't do that without huge provocation, unless they've snapped. And it's a bad day for England that the world got to see all of that. And that's where we should leave it, I think. Olympics, the opening ceremony, taking the piss out of the Last Supper. Double standards on show again. Now pulled from YouTube on the Olympic channel. What were they thinking? I have to say, the opening ceremony, Other Olympics, do you know what? I've watched them. I remember watching the Danny Boyle London 2012 Olympics, watching it from start to finish. And some people would say, yeah, but that's because it's in the UK and you're from the UK. But I've watched the others, and I've watched them. I've watched openings from all the beginning. I watched the American ones with the jetpacks coming in and all of this sort of stuff in the past. And I've watched the Tokyo opening and found that quite entertaining. It's nice to see a little bit of culture. This one it all seemed to be about boats going down the river and dancing and stuff going on bridges while you're going down this river, and a mechanical horse leading up with some cloth or something. And I don't know if that was in the spirit of the Olympics. To be quite honest, it all seemed to be more about culture. We're a cultural society, so let's show this. Take it like this. One very moving Olympic opening that I remember seeing was seeing a previous Olympiad, Muhammad Ali, get the torch and light the torch at the end while he's got his Parkinson's disease. That's cultural. That's bringing the Olympics into it and showing strength in adversity. What was in that Olympic opening that showed any of that? I did see very quickly the Lady Gaga bit, the Celine Dion bit. Quickly, I mean, we're talking about the 5 minutes of each that was on YouTube because I missed it. That's it. Can't say any more than that. Don't give up on your Christmas holidays. You work from home unless it's Wednesday due to being a carer for your mother. You have more rights as a carer than they have. You have already said you're willing to be flexible. Yeah, that was what I was trying to get at. I do work from home unless it's a Wednesday. But the thing is, I'm trying to get my mother out of the house, and I'm trying to make it so that the people that come to visit us, we go and see them, because we've sat on our asses for the last 8-9 years, and they've come to us. And I want to get, and that's why this year was so important, because it was going to be the first year of me doing that. So that's why I was so let down by it. Plus the fact it was agreed. But anyway, on top of that, you said that you have holiday cards that have to be signed but never are. This is their responsibility to put right. Yeah, I said that. Holiday cards in these days are a poor way to keep track of who's out and when. It should be kept on digital records and updated instantly, so people can see what's booked, what and when. And this is my point as well. We've got a big spreadsheet that we are told every month, please fill it in. Please fill it in. It's called the whereabouts spreadsheet. And the whole team has got their name there, and it goes all the way across to Christmas. And in there, I have to put, I'm working from home, I'm working in an office, and when I'm out of the office, And I put in my Christmas, and I put in my 2 weeks, August, September. And I did that back in January. It's been in that whereabouts there. Their argument to that will be, yeah, but we won't see that till we get closer to it. My argument to that is, and? So you telling me you've never booked a holiday to go to skiing when you're in the summer holidays? Am I supposed to think, therefore, that I need to look every month far in advance to see what holiday you're booking and all of this sort of stuff, because it's months away? What I'm saying to you is, it's there. You have every chance to go and look. That's the point. Anyway, it's a done thing now. I've told them I'll be flexible. Let's see what happens. You continue. For a funeral song, it has to be Going Underground, surely. Going Underground. Bloody hell. Yeah. God's sake, that's made me smile. So this week, I've bought a second-hand copy of Hammer House of Horror in a very good condition for one story, The Two Faces of Evil. Yeah, that box set, is really good, Hammer House of Horror. It's really good. All 3 volumes of short, sharp shocks on a recommendation from Jim Jam and a wonderful gift from yourself. Flash Gordon, which I'll watch when my telly has changed. I want to watch it on an optimal time As you say, the picture quality is stunning. Yeah, my pleasure, matey. And I still want a report from you in regards to this short, sharp shock, because I do have a HMV in my town, and I could therefore pick it up in the free for £15, couldn't I? So do let me know. I'm going to check out a film recommendation by Ian, A Quiet Place. Premise seems interesting. And there's 3 films there, matey. Don't get me wrong. I tried to point that out during the stream, that the prequel is the one that's come out this year, but it's the 3rd in the series. There is A Quiet Place, and there is another Quiet Place, A Quiet Place 2. All on the same premises. Aliens that come down attacking us, and they're pretty much blind. They use sound, which is why it's called A Quiet Place. I loved it personally. And you know, the prequel sort of like is where it's sort of supposed to start it all off. Brilliant, absolutely great. Question for this week: what shoot 'em up, in your opinion, has the best power-ups, and why? You could pick any system. You bastard! Oh my god, how many shoot 'em ups have I played through the years? Okay. The problem I have with power-ups: do we need them? I think Mamemeister said it best when he said he loved Gradius, loved it back in the day. When he plays it now, he sees the folly of it. You pick up a power-up, you get so powerful, a mistake happens where you die, you're put not straight back at the beginning, and sometimes it's halfway back, and the same powerful creatures are there, and you're defenseless. You've got no weapons. And some people will turn around and say, well, tough shit, that's what would happen, wasn't it? But yeah, it's just one of those things where the coder hasn't really got too much of a choice. Go back to the beginning, or weaken the people, weaken the aliens for the point that you're put back in, to give yourself a chance to get some weapons again. I've already said that out of Gradius and R-Type and Salamander and all of those, I liked Peridius, because Peridius is a parody of them all. And I'm more about the score than I am about the spectacle of the weapon. I look forward to those weapons. If you think about it, if you've got a picture at the bottom that says fire, gun, laser, double laser, homing missiles, beam laser, you know, you're going, oh, I wonder what beam laser looks like, you know, and you play and play and play to get to that beam laser, and then you die, and you go, shit. And it's all to do with the spectacle. I wonder what the special effect will look like, right? But to me, the most devastating thing you can have in your arsenal is the smart bomb. What was that, Defender? Wow. Now, Defender needed no real special power-ups. Fire left, fire right, move left, move right, warp, and smart bomb. That's it. And I've had more fun out of Defender than I have Gradius, Salamander, with all of its special stuff. Don't get me wrong. As we move through the years, the graphics and everything have looked wonderful. But I do like a spectacle. And from that point of view, I think the 2 games that come to mind are Don Pachi. Is that what they call it? Don Pachi? And I think it's called G Darius. Yeah, Darius. You remember the widescreen underwater type one? And the reason for that is it's the spectacle of being underwater. Do you know what I mean? They've got these water effects, and the creatures that you're going to shoot are like big fish or squids or something like that. Something organic and weird. And you build up your firepower. And You know, you've got to find the hidden thing that's going to kill a big squid. How do you kill a big squid? It got no eyes. It fires ink at you. All of that shit, right? So the spectacle of the weapons are great in that, you know. Not all the time is a homing missile the best weapon to have, especially if it takes away the main gun that you've got. So I'm more about the skill, but I've had some fun with bullet hell games. I think I mentioned the one that I really, really liked that was on the Dreamcast, where you alternated between firing with black aliens and white aliens. When you picked up a black power-up, you could go through the black firepower. When you picked up a white power-up, you went through the white firepower and was harmful then to the opposite colour. A Karuga, was it called? Brilliant. But I'll tell you what, the most fun I've had with special weapons has been that Vampire Survivors. Now, it's not a shoot 'em up, but you start off with a weedy piece of crap, and then you double up with that weedy piece of crap, and then you pick up something like a force field, then you pick up garlic, and then you pick up until millions and millions and millions are coming at you, and you've got something surrounding you that's keeping them at bay, to the point where you're at a stalemate, or they just basically slowly weaken you down to nothing. Those games I love. I've loved them for quite some time, and I haven't played one for a while either. I want to go back to that genre a bit, but I stayed away because I was sort of like becoming more well known for being a person who play tests every Vampire Survivor type game, and I didn't want that to happen for my channel. But those are the best when it comes to power-ups. How's that? Yes. Love that. Thank you so much, my friend. So looking forward to our chat that we'll have this week. We're bound sure to. We're always on the phone. You have a great week, matey. I start back at work tomorrow. On to the next one. Colin Jones. Salute, by the way, my friend. So Colin Jones, so little spare time this week. I thought the previous week was bad for time, but it's now Saturday and I'm just finishing watching. I bought a teleprompter too, £20, used as new, and really does look new. My next vlog is going to be a long one, and I plan to script it for the teleprompter, but haven't started yet. Yes, matey, and I believe you've got the same one I've got. I need to use it. Absolutely brilliant, this thing. It's got the cutouts at the back where you put the camera. There it is. I've got the managed to find a use for these crazy looking stand that's behind me, and that's because mine's heading against a wall but then rested against the back of the monitor, so it stands like that in front, and I can put the camera at the back and it'll be in my face. There's the remote for it for your mobile phone. It shines up, you read along. Now, all I can say about it is I'm really excited about using it, but haven't had the time to do so yet. The other thing about it was I didn't download the teleprompter that came free with the product, which was a code. I downloaded one that most people were saying is an industry standard and definitely worth buying, and it was only £2 something. And that's the one that I had the trouble with this little gizmo because I couldn't keybind. I forgot what it's called. I'll tell you in Discord, matey. Just like you, I know exactly what you were saying. You were saying you've done some tests, and that's what I've done. I've done some tests, and it's very difficult, just like watching a camera here, to not look up or look down or look, at a pad. When you're looking at it, seeing your eyes do this. And every single tip I've seen has said, don't do a script, do an overview. Put the technical bits where you need the technical bits. Control the speed up and down while you're reading the technical bits. And then you can use the forward and back to do bullet points for the bits that you want to talk about, and they will be reminders. And you could do a bullet point with a sub bullet point. So if you wanted to say, I'm going to talk today about AI, that'd be on the prompt. When you hit the next right, to the right, it moves down one, and you start talking about all the points that you wanted to talk about with AI, and that worked for me. So it looks very much like the best way to do things is overview, and that's how I'm going to be doing it when I'm doing my capsule reviews, and I finally get around to using the teleprompter. That's how it's going to be, and it's going to be fantastic, I think. So I'm really looking forward to that. Well done on your getting your purchase, matey. As you know, I got mine as a freebie from my friend, and I didn't have, I already had it. It came with a stand, but the stand doesn't go up too high, and it sits right in front of the monitor. And I don't want things to the left, and I don't want things to the right, so it needed to balance on top of the monitor, really. And from that point of view, it worked well because there's no glare, because you have it pointing slightly down. So yeah, it's just something that I've got to play around with. You continue, I hate places that screw you about with holidays. Ours are all posted up in October for January to December the following year, and swaps arranged to suit, changing for next year because we're moving to an April to March schedule. Mind you, our holidays are organised by drivers with admin duties, LDC, of which we have 3 elected. I got my wireless mic from my 25-year-old service award. I remember it well, matey, and I was really dead jealous of you. I don't use them much, but they're absolutely wonderful. There's the ones that I got. They're very, very cheap, and the proof of how they sound really is in the 2 statue reviews. They'll do the job. They're not the best, but 15 quid, can't complain. They were 30 quid. I'm sure yours were 100 or something, I didn't need anything close to that. Battlefield Earth is one I'm really glad to have never watched. Yeah, you and me both. As I've said before, the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, which should never have been made, put me off remakes for life. It's by far the worst movie I've ever sat through voluntarily, and that end was utterly atrocious. I think you know my opinion of that particular film. Robert Wise did a fantastic job. Why make that shit? Anyway, just think of you taking breaks. They're short, even in real life, to the breaks I have to take while watching. I can't watch any American version of British sitcoms. I find them to have a different sense of humour entirely. Yes, that was from my comment about Sanford and Son and Steptoe and Son, wasn't it? The only reason I mention that is I think it's the only one where I haven't seen one episode of an American version. Who's the Boss is an American version. Three's Company is an American version of Man About the House, etc., etc., etc. So Steptoe and Son being I'm a big fan of. I just want to know what this scrapyard merchant thing made in the 70s did, because apparently it did well. I want I'll Be Mellow When I'm Dead by Weird Al to be played at my funeral, and that will be in my will. Yeah, by the way, my tune that I want played is in my will. That's there. I believe you should have your wishes for your last hurrah. So mine is there. My question: which item in your collection have you spent the most on, and why? Not looking for the actual amount, just the item itself. Which item in your collection have you spent the most on? I don't think, therefore, I can count a computer as my collection, because I've spent more on a PC than anything else. When I bought the CPU and the motherboard and the memory and the case and the etc., etc., that would total probably anything that I've ever bought as a collectible. But it'll be one of my statues, matey. It will be one from Prime 1 Studios. I haven't showed it off yet, my most expensive statue with postage and packaging and duty was $1,550. That therefore is £1,300, £1,400 on a statue. Yeah, that's the most expensive collectible item, and I will show it off one day. It's huge. The thing you have to assemble, it's got lights in it. It's made of polystone. Yeah, it's futuristic looking. It's a thing of beauty. But oh my god, it's there's some assembly in it. You're almost bloody sculpting the thing yourself. Thank you so much for that. Brilliant. Thank you. We'll move on because it's getting quite late again. We Bob R. Enjoyed catching up with Vblog this week. Still to listen along to the other blogs I've missed. Question for tomorrow. If you see this in time, I have been captivated by the Quest 3 and emulation in VR, watching The Lost Boys at the same time as playing arcade and console games. The game is... No, the EMU, I think you've put the game is called. The EMU is called EMU VR. Have you heard of it or had a shot of it as it's free? Yes, I have, matey. Just to let you know, it's on my MetaQuest 2 when I sideloaded it. It was in its infancy back then, but I believe I need to go back to it because they've added things like day and night cycles, posters, that sort of thing. So I do need to go back to it. You can then do add-ons called Wiggy X, which allows you to get set up a sort of arcade room with lots of items and statues, etc. Oh, it looks like you can put your achievements and things in it now. Oh, okay. I'm still figuring it out, but it certainly does fill a nostalgic hole. And in VR, it is pretty fantastic to be able to hold items and look at them. Yes, so I have played EMU VR. When I was playing it, you had a room. You set the room up, shelves, all that sort of stuff. I believe it used RetroArch. Can't remember. And therefore, there was an object like a PlayStation 1 that was fully 3D modelled. And you pulled a cable out of the back of the TV and you plugged it in, and it was almost like plugging the thing in. And you then played PlayStation where you could see the TV screen, right? And the way it worked, this is how it did work, if you clicked away from the screen, you went into free roam mode. And if you clicked on the screen, your movement was restricted because you're playing now the character in the game that you've actually asked to load up. It didn't have many emulators back then. RetroArch is there, but the ROMs didn't work. I need to go back to that. You're quite right. But when it comes to VR, yeah, I've got so many uses now, matey, for it. I watch all my 3D films on there now. There are times now that I'll even, if I'm really, really lazy, put my headset on and watch Mamemeister on YouTube in VR. I can't turn around and say that hasn't happened, because it has. You've got a virtual keyboard. I'm on my recliner and I'm watching him play his games, and I'm going, and I can see the chat and everything, and I'm there typing away. One way of doing it, let's say it's the best way, but I do think when it comes to one of the possible futures for the film industry will be watch-alongs in VR. I hope it doesn't happen. I do like going out of this house to a purpose place complex to watch a film, then inviting people around and talking to an avatar and watching a film in my room. So, but I've had great enjoyment out of it. I didn't know you had a VR. Anything you want to know, matey, if I could answer it, I will. I've even done painting in VR. And I've conducted an orchestra in VR. You know, there's these games, lightsaber games. I'm sure you've seen them, where you have to knock the red ones with the right lightsaber and the green ones with the green ones, and you're there waving your arms about and all this. they actually have one where you're in front of an orchestra playing classical music, and you've got the conductor's baton, and you've got to do the baton movements to make the orchestra play correctly. Brilliant. Free game as well, that. Love that game. That was brilliant. Salute, my friend, and we move on to another of my big friends, Ian Hill, the Ramblings. Here we go. It says, "Hi, Delboy. Hope you and your mother are doing okay. I enjoyed both live streams this week. Thanks for kindly asking me on yours on Friday. Enjoyed being with Denny and Jim Jam. I know there were some issues surrounding your live, which must have annoyed you. However, I think we all had a good time on it, and I did. Like you were having a pint, like having a pint together. The audience enjoyed it, and there were some great questions. That is a success. You did a great job, my friend." Yeah, let's not talk about the annoyances and all that sort of stuff. They're things that are disappointing, but you move away and you just turn around and go, "Didn't bother my enjoyment that night. Not going to let anything else bother my enjoyment again." It's as simple as that, really. And I wholeheartedly put my hands up now and say I don't think there was any malice in it whatsoever. Simple as that. Okay. It was good to see you, Denny, and Jim Jam meet up. We could see you all having a great time. Nice to nose around some shops, looking at all the goodies you enjoy. Loved it. I've mentioned it. I mean, I've done 25 minutes on it. I'm not going to bore everyone with my health report this week. Let's be positive. So my question this week for you is, what are your favourite jungle films? Best wishes and have a grand time. Matey, I've always wanted to know what's going on in your life. Please continue to do so. You don't bore us in one way whatsoever. We want to know you're well. We want to know your mindset. We want to know what moves you in this blog. Just keep doing that, matey. That's the first thing I want to say about that. Thank you so much for the enjoyment that you give me when I'm there on a Wednesday. So glad I'm able to, in a small way, repay you back with my little bit of chatting. That's all I can say. You're the maestro in your own channel, and from that point of view, I love it. You invited me on. How can I not feel wonderful? And I do. Best jungle film. That's a difficult one, isn't it? I bet you that's come about because I talked about Tarzan in one of the streams. Let's give it a couple of twists then. One that instantly comes to mind is Predator, set in a jungle. Definitely a film that I loved in the 80s. Schwarzenegger popcorn films. Alien of the week with its cloaking device, lasers, weapons, bombs, explosions, mud, lights. Brilliant. What can you say about that? The remake of King Kong is spectacular for the bits on Kong Island, and they did wow me. That doesn't take away the fact that the jungles that you see in the old black and white King Kong are equally as stunning. In fact, probably more stunning because of the early adoption of how to do something with film. At least we knew that it was possible after Jurassic Park, don't we? How to make something look realistic with CGI. But I will mention King Kong because it did wow me. It was one of the first films I bought in high definition. Came with my Xbox 360 HD player, in fact. I mentioned Jurassic Park just now. Jurassic Park is set in a jungle of a sort. It's a jungle turned into a park, but it's a jungle. Getting serious though, Gorillas in the Mist did it for me. Thought that was really well shot. But even better than Gorillas in the Mist, and a film that's not really talked about too much, is Medicine Man with Sean Connery. What a film and what a soundtrack. Oh, by the way, Jerry Goldsmith soundtrack. Yes. The soundtrack tops off a very thought-provoking film. Take it like this. People who don't know what Medicine Man is, Sean Connery finds the cure for cancer in a hidden part of the jungle. and then loses it. And he has to try and work out where it's gone. How this cure came about. And he finds out, but then he finds out that there's nothing that we can do about it because us as humans have destroyed any way that we can actually get this to work again. So a sad ending, but a brilliant film. But if we're talking about Tarzan, Weissmuller was my Tarzan when it comes to in the cinema, and therefore Tarzan the Ape Man comes to mind. Ron Ely was my Tarzan on TV. Brilliant 70s stuff that I used to watch on a Sunday lunch with my roast dinner. And then of modern day Tarzan films, I think Legend of Tarzan in 2016. I think that's got... What's that got in it? Has it got Samuel L. Jackson in it? I think so. Yeah. Was it 2015? Something like that. There have been others, Greystoke and all of this, cartoons by Disney, all of that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go down that route. Those are the ones that come out. I hope there's a lot of jungle stuff in there that you might go, oh yeah, I've seen that, or I agree, or I don't agree, I don't know. Thank you so much for the question. I hope I've given a good enough answer. Not sure. But salute to you, my friend. Steve's Gaming. Hi, Del. Great stuff as usual. Not a lot to say this time because, being honest, I watched this Sunday night. And it's now Friday night. And I've forgotten most things you said, you bastard. Only joking. I enjoyed your stream with Ian last night, and that was great as usual. Okay, a question. The 1969 film Marooned was a space film that very much mirrored many things that happened in real life with Apollo 13 a year later. Do you know of any other film that predicted some real-time event? Didn't I have this last week? Nah, I couldn't have done. Hope you're feeling better, mate. Love to your mum. Things that have predicted something that's happened based on a film. Let's see, there must be something in 2001. 2001 had tablets in it. And AI. Of course, HAL, and it's AI. Yeah, that's prediction, isn't it? Oh. This is hard. I'll have to speed this up. The cartoon, Wall-E. A robot with recycling. When we talk about recycling these days, my God, we are heading to that, a planet full of crap, where we're going to live on another planet and the whole planet turns into a rubbish tip. Yeah. Oh, now this is very loose. Demolition Man. In Demolition Man with Sly Stallone always wanting to take a swipe at Schwarzenegger. It's set in the future because he's been defrosted. He was frozen in the 80s and woken up 70 odd years later or something. Sandra Bullock says, I'll have to refer to the Schwarzenegger tapes. The what? He says, Fran? This is the Schwarzenegger tapes. Yes, Schwarzenegger became president, or president of America in such and such a day. Now, this was at a time where Schwarzenegger wasn't in politics, and he did actually become the governor of California. That is a prediction. Wow. But the biggest one, the one that instantly comes to mind, Back to the Future 2. This is well documented. All of the stuff he sees in the future, Jaws 17, all of that wasn't happening. Power laces, we'd love it, but they're not really here yet. However, on a billboard or an electronic billboard, it comes up and says, Cubs win the World Series. That happened. And it hadn't happened at that time. That's a prediction. And that came true. Yes. Back to the Future 2. Cubs will win the World Series in baseball. Yeah. Happy with that answer. Glad I thought about that at the end. Hope you're feeling better, mate. Love to your mum. Salute to you, always my friend. I'll talk about you towards the end and what's happening with you. Muckman-Movies. Oh, so nice for him to leave a comment. I love the Joan Armour Trading song, Fly to the Wild Geese from Wild Geese. Incredibly moving and such a great voice. Thanks for the shout out. Much appreciated. My pleasure. I only shout out to people that I actually watched and I think are good channels and I think are something that other people would like to see. So I hope that worked out for you. My pleasure. Mark Fletcher. Oh my God, this was quite long, so I'm going to have to read it quickly. Hello, Delboy. I'm just getting myself in shape for the live stream you have with Ian tonight. It's a proper war of attrition to make it to the very end. Lucky or unlucky, I am off work at the moment due to spinal stenosis. Oh my God. And slip disc problems. So I don't have to worry about getting up in the morning. It amazes me how you manage to keep in a sitting position for as long as you do. I wouldn't last more than half an hour before I needed to lie down, so I'll be joining in the stream in a comfortable position as I can, lying on my side in bed, so I hope it's exciting enough for me to keep me from dropping off. I'm so glad he's around. He makes these fun, absolutely. I'm not saying that any of the others aren't fun, they all are, but I'm thinking of him now lying on his side watching me and Ian in bed going, bloody hell. Anyway, a couple of questions for you. Do you keep up with comics these days? I gave up buying them in 1994 when I got fed up with all the stupid gimmicks and the Rob Liefeld style artwork that took over. Did you ever see the artwork that classic Hulk artist Herb Trimpe did in the Fantastic Four Unlimited? My God, it was atrocious. It was such a shame an artist such as he had to try and change his style just to fit in. A real tragedy. Just to answer that, yes, and I did see Fantastic Four Unlimited, and it is a shame. Herb Trimpe was one of those artists that I appreciated and never really got into his style. It did look very simplistic, but he drew the Hulk in the very early days incredibly well and became a Hulk artist. And even now, people look at those days and go, that was some good stuff there. Like I say, he does have a style, but it's not the style that I like. My style is like John Romita's style. So, and he's far from John Romita. Don't get me wrong. You won't see Herb Trimpe filling a John Romita art gig. Do you see what I mean? Do I still buy comics? Yes, from Read Comics. I mentioned them earlier. Do get your comics. If you're in the UK and you want to buy your comics, do give them a bell. Read Comics. Speak to Terry. Terry is wonderful. I've met her. I've gone there and picked my comics up from their place at Milton Keynes. Brilliant. They don't own a shop. They have a warehouse. It's like an outer unit filled to the rafters with not only the comics but also all of the statues, the omnibuses, all of that sort of stuff. Brilliant. I only buy certain amount of comics now. I buy Spider-Man solely, and that takes up 80% of my comic collection. The only other two that I collect are Hulk and Fantastic Four. So I buy everything to do with Spider-Man and everything related to Spider-Man, including Venom and all of that sort of stuff. And then the other small percentage is the main core comic of Fantastic Four, the main core comic of Hulk. That's it. Everything else, don't buy anymore. Used to buy one comic of all of them. Can't do that anymore. Plus, you got so many old different writers in that, and they change around so much that you there's nothing really to keep you there unless there's a favourite artist or favourite writer that takes on a year's worth of that work, and then you want to go back. But you rarely know these days whether the person's going to stay on for a year. Rare these days. It's usually a rotational based system, so not great. Let's see. I myself only read digital versions of modern stuff nowadays, and I find it hard to recommend anything of note. I started reading them when I got the urge in the early 2000s, and noticed how cheap digital copies were on disc on eBay. Since then, I buy the odd item, but will never pay too much for anything. It has to be a bargain. Some of my favourite purchases have been the black and white essential collections that Marvel put out years ago. They are like telephone book size reprints of the classic Marvel stuff we all know and love. It doesn't bother me that they're only in black and white because we were brought up in the UK reprints that were always in black and white, and you're dead right about that. They replaced the essential line with a colour version of that, which was a crying shame. This gave the masses the ability to have huge amounts of comics reprinted and given to people that were poor. And when I mean masses, I mean 40 or 50 reprinted comics in a telephone bound type book that's all in black and white for the price of around 12 quid. £12. That would last you months as a child. I suppose you could even use it as a colouring book. Cheapo colouring book if you wanted. I wouldn't want to teach your kids to deface comics, but black and white, fill a Spider-Man's costume in with red and blue. Why not? 12 quid, go out and buy him another one. How much are colouring books these days? What are they, 6 quid, 7 quid? Answers, please. Do they do colouring books anymore? Not sure. Bloody hell. There used to be tons. I hope I haven't missed anything out with that. Actually, I've just thought of something to recommend from Current Comics. Titan are publishing new Conan stories that are well worth a read. They are not to the standards of John Buscema, Alfredo Alcala masterpieces from 50 years ago, but are well worth the time. I'm also finding myself reading a lot of Judge Dredd recently. Again, the old stuff, brilliant. Yes, I knew about this, matey, and the reason I know about it is I bought all of the Marvel omnibuses for Conan. They got to volume 10 and they lost the license, and the license got picked up by Titan. I'm still waiting now. I think it's just about to come out. The last volume of the Marvel run that has to be published outside of Marvel. I think it's Titan. I think they've done a deal and said, can you finish this off for us because we've lost the license. So I'm waiting to finish off my omnibus collection. Otherwise, I'm one book short. And that's awful when you consider they're $150 each and I've got 9 of them. Yeah, that's where you start going, what was that for? What have I done that for? I was guaranteed this was going to be a finish to the end, and then you lost your license, you bastards. But there was the pandemic and all sorts of stuff in there, so yeah, what can you do about it? Second question is a sort of a what if. I think I've read the first one. If somebody gave you the money, blockbuster amount, to make a film, what sort of movie would you make, and who would you like to star in it? Actors could be from any time frame. Also, who would compose the music? Again, from any time you want. I'm betting that part of the question would be I'm betting that that part of the question would be easy to answer. Yeah, the soundtrack thing. Bound sure to be one of 3. Ennio Morricone, Jerry Goldsmith, or Georges Delarue. And it would be based on the style of movie that I'm making. What movie? Blockbuster movie. Money is no interest. Money is no object. That's hard. I've never said that I've wanted to be a film director. I've wanted to be a film editor. I'm not that creative. Somebody asked me a similar question in a feed this week saying, if you had the money to do a TV series, and I said, let's do Space 1999 from the perspective of the Earth that's been left behind. Wow, what if I threw all that money into that then? That's a cheapo answer for you. I'm so sorry, but I'm running out of time. Other than that, I'd love to do something around Spider-Man, of course. Make it in the way that I, as a fan, saw. Not what Marvel would interfere with and alter and all of that sort of stuff. Especially if money's no object, because I'll buy Marvel. Anyway, all the best, Dow Boy, to you and your mom. Take it easy. Nuff said. Excelsior, my friend. Thank you so much. You cheer me up every week. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Martroid, it's certainly an interesting Martroid, my friend Martroid, what can I say? Brilliant. It's certainly an interesting topic that Denny mentions regarding the cinemas being challenged by streaming. I'd love to go to the movie theatre more often, but I just can't afford it. Case in point, I took my partner to see the new Deadpool film this weekend, just gone. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience, but it cost me New Zealand $55 just for 2 tickets. Yes, totally agree with you, Del. The movies have become a special treat these days rather than something you do regularly. Yeah, and what I was saying was, when you pay that $55, there's the food. And then all of a sudden you're going away and $100 has been spent. And over here it's, it's when you take a family out, with 2 children and yourselves, and your partner, then you're talking about a couple going to an expensive steakhouse dinner. People want the pictures were supposed to be the alternative to going to the expensive theatre productions like Cats and stuff, right? Vaudeville. So why is cinema now so bloody expensive? And to be quite honest, the 2-for-1 deals and all of that ain't cutting it anymore. Cut your food down to half price. Start doing more family orientated stuff. Get bums on seats again. Stop trying to entice us with chairs that rock, speakers in the chairs, reclining, etc., etc. I can do all that at home. Reclining seats, cup holders. Get myself a Coke out the fridge. Yeah. Make us want to see a film again in your cinema. Last one, thank you and salute to you, Martroid. Last one, it says, Stephen Moles. There's a new shark movie coming out on Blu-ray, Delboy. Something in the Water, it's called. Check the trailer out. It looks good. And I will. Thank you very much, matey. I like shark films, Jaws, all of that sort of stuff. Something in the Water. I'll write that down. I'll definitely look at the trailer. I'll report back on what I thought about it. I take it it's going to get a physical disc. I take it it's already been at the cinema. If it's not been at the cinema, I will try and look and see if my local cinema is going to show it. That gets us to the end of all of that. And now we have to move on to Watched on YouTube. But before I do that, we've reached the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to have to go very quickly. I do need to just rest for a moment, splash a bit of water on me. I'm sure you can imagine 2 hours without a gap. I think I'm doing pretty well at the moment. So just bear with me. And I'm back, and it was just a couple of minutes. But thinking about it, I've left my mum, not made her a cup of tea or anything, so I'm going to have to move really quickly. She might even come through. So we moved to Watched on YouTube, and I'll go as quickly as I can. I might have to cut some things out if I don't think it's that important. As you know, I usually watch This Week in Retro and Techmoan. There was no Techmoan this week, so it was just This Week in Retro. So that helped a little bit. And they had their 3 subjects. All hail our new Atari ST overlords, which was a bit of a joke for them. They were just turning around and saying that Neil, who's having a wonderful time at the moment, if you watch his channel, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's taking a sabbatical, away from things for a little bit while he concentrates on family, and that means that they need a new head and they need a new guest to control for the next however long it's going to take. So they keep saying that it's more a Commodore show, so they've called it the Atari ST Overlords. It was quite fun. Then they talked about Nvidia were bailed out by Sega. Yes, that's an interesting story. It is quite true. We wouldn't have an Nvidia if it weren't for Sega. They were about to go under. So that was quite good. And CRTs are the best gaming monitors, ? And so again, if you're ever interested in what do you like CRTs, do you like your flat panels, the pros of flat panels, the pros of CRTs and the negatives, brilliant little section, fantastic. Definitely, if you can watch those 2 channels, you're not forcing you to, but I find them immense enjoyment and they always entertain me and fill me with knowledge. What have I got here? I did, although this really is more a news coverage. On Monday, when I went for my walk, it just happened to be that the news started off with Rachel Reeves. Now, if you don't know who Rachel Reeves is, it's politics. She's announced how big a deficit the Conservatives have left the country in and what cuts she's going to make. Oh my God. I listened to it and I went, I knew this would happen. It was just a blame the Tory this, blame the Tories that. Our policy is this, their policy was this. That means we're cutting this, we're not doing this, etc., etc. It's very much like Trump, who came in and tore up all the paperwork for the previous president. They've come in and said, as much as we could see the Conservatives were going to fund something by something else, if we haven't got the money, we're not going to do it that way. If we've got the money, we'll do it. If we haven't got the money, we won't, which means everything was being destroyed. Everything. And the first thing she abolished was heating allowance at Christmas for pensioners. Means tested now. Look forward, if you can, to your winter, but you're not going to get any money from us in assisting you. That sort of thing. It was a very somber thing. Not nice at all. Couldn't help but listen. So I'm not saying go and watch iPaper, which is where I got that from. It was just something I listened to on my walk. Then there was, I was talking about Roxanne and my capsule review and how wonderful it was to remember something called the Jonathan Ross, The Last Resort with Jonathan Ross. I found that YouTube actually put that whole thing up. So if you go to a channel called Magic Week and you type in The Last Resort with Jonathan Ross - Steve Martin, you'll see the whole Great Flydini act and Jonathan Ross being totally destroyed by a comic master. Yes, if you want to see Jonathan Ross in a bad light, go and watch that. Brilliant. Mid-Level Media. They did Nightmare on Elm Street, steelbook artwork reveal and announcement. Yes, Nightmare on Elm Street reached its 40th anniversary, and so the steelbook was announced ages ago. Now the artwork has been announced, and it's very interesting. You'll notice that many of my friends have been talking about it in their channels. To me, it was just interesting. The reason it will be a collector set is because it's an anniversary. So I am interested in the artwork, but it's far from the thing that's going to stop me from buying it. It will all be about what extras and what the film and the restoration of it. So that was interesting. Then there was a YouTube channel called The Channel, and I was just bypassing a lot of things, and it was a retrospective of the Tomorrow People. Brilliant. Love the Tomorrow People, the 70s version. It was great to hear about how Tim came about, who voiced Tim, the actor who played John, what other things he was in, all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Then we had a pianist called Adelina. And that's the channel name, Adelina, Adelina, who did a piano cover of Measure of a Man. And that's because last week I mentioned a song called Measure of a Man that was in Rocky V, and it was great just to hear the piano part of it. Absolutely fantastic. Then there's some of my friends. Did you see that? An old friend of mine who I do watch on many occasions. He's brought his talks back, and that seems to be something that is a theme for this week, because not only that, but I told you that my friend Ryan of Let's Get Kicking Movie has also announced he's coming back. So with that, I am going to mention as well my old pal Scott. Scott has been taking a break. He hasn't mentioned he's coming back, but he did a rant. Now, what I will say about a rant and what I will say about Scott, I agreed pretty much with what Scott said. And I understand the reason why he did a rant. It wasn't to get people to watch his channel because he's taking a break. It's just things had got to the point where he needed to say something for his own mental health. right? And then I started to think, do rants help with mental health? And I thought of the pros and the cons of it. And I thought to myself, do you know what? The way Scott did it, it probably did help, right? But on the negative side, I think actually it's a 50-50 thing. A 50-50 thing. And the reason for that is you will be talking to people that are your subscribers, and some of those subscribers will have been talking sort of like you're in a pub about certain stuff. And some of the subjects that you brought up that you don't like, that person that's a bit backwards at coming forwards is going to think you're talking to them, and that's going to put them and make them feel miserable. Certainly some of the subjects in there made me think, are you talking to me? He was talking about he hated people that show off their collections and put their stuff up and that. Well, what do I do at the end of my blog? I show off the things that I bought this week. So is that a dig at me? But no. What Scott was talking about, these people that brag and say, and I've got the collector's edition and it's cost me £100 and just look at it, isn't it wonderful, and all this sort of stuff. That's what he was talking about. There are so many people that just want to basically very quickly just go, this is what I got this week. And for me, I do it because I want to show my nephews and nieces what I got this week, what their uncle was going to be watching this week, and also what was expensive and what wasn't. So when I do go to my mortal coil and I am 6 foot under, they know what something cost, and that they'll know in the future what they need to be selling it for. And that's been mentioned in my blog a million times because I've done 128 of these. So I knew he wasn't talking to me. But think about it for a moment. Could a person that's not as outward bound as me think, he's talking to me, he's talking to me, oh my God, and all of that sort of stuff. And from that point of view, there is a small negative to it that will be affecting the mental health of those people. So rant videos that are becoming popular, I do see why you're doing it, and I do think people should be called out. But then again, should the people that you're ranting about actually be called out and named and shamed if you're going to do a rant? I think of it from that point of view. It takes the second guesswork out of it. It stops the person that's a bit not confident feel more comfortable. That being said, look at it from the fun side of things. It was great to see Scott swearing and shouting and going, you make my piss boil by doing this and that and the other. Yeah, there are so many people out there that, oh my God, they're so up their own arse. And do you know what? I don't call out those people. I just don't mention them. And that's how I handle that. Yeah. So that's just that little bit out of the way. An absolutely fantastic rant, worth a watch. Scott, we miss you, mate. Hope you come back soon. Playtendoguy, he did 2 shorts this week. Just 2 little shorts, but they entertained me this week. There was a Deadpool one and there was a Robert Downey Jr. reveal one. The Robert Downey Jr. is very topical at the moment. I can understand why it's there. The Deadpool one was funny. It was a sort of like a dancey thing. Only a short minute of your time. Definitely brilliant. Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Now, you know I talk about Ian Hill, The Ramblings all the time, right? Here's just a little snippet of what he's done this week. Top films from 1966 to 1973. Think about that for a minute. 7 individual segments of the top films of those years. My God, that alone would be what my content for the whole of the week. Then you got a Soldier Blue review, a review of a film called Sleep, a package that came from World of Books, and an unboxing for it. He did a live with me. It goes on. Absolutely. Ian Hill, if you haven't subscribed to him, I don't know what you're waiting around for. Bloody do it. My God, there is nothing that he doesn't cover that you wouldn't find something entertaining in. Jim Jam Movies, who I had the pleasure of seeing and actually has been my friend now for a couple of months now. A fun day out with me. What can you say? Go and watch that. see me see me, you know, make a fool of myself, if anything. And then he did a cinema trip because a very special event has turned out for him, which is the 40th anniversary of the film Never Ending Story. And he wanted to celebrate it by doing a video of him going to the cinema, meeting up with a mate, watching the film, talking about it afterwards, and why it's so magical for him. Isn't that just such a lovely thing to do? Wish I thought of something like that, bastard. Anyway, that's my mate Jim Jam. Mondo Chelloveck, or should I say film royalty. Vinegar Syndrome with Slip, 2 latest Italian slasher films. So 2 great videos here. I learned so much from people like Nigel and Mondo Chelloveck. He's such an interesting guy. Makes me feel wonderful about myself. He said a lovely thing about my Laurel and Hardy video that I did with Denny. Very complimentary to everybody that does YouTube stuff. One of the nicest, sweetest guys you will ever have comment on your channel, and one of the nicest guys to entertain you and fill you with knowledge. Definitely a watch and a sub. Muckman-Movies, how could I not mention him? Last week he did his steelbook collection of science fiction. This week he did his steelbook of superheroes. What can I not mention this week about him? He's done a superhero collection. All I can say is, got them all, mate. And more. But fantastic. And just knowing Jim Jam has made me be introduced to somebody else called Lisa Loves. Lisa Loves is this lady element of the film sort of community that goes and sees films, does capsule reviews, does top 10 films, what she's watched in July, ratings, retrospectives. Oh my God, if I was to look back at her back catalogue, it will take me probably until the end of next year to get caught up. That's how much there is there. I think that just about does it there. You know, if I've missed anybody out there, it's only through time. You know the ones that I really love. Go watch them. And then we've got your YouTube. These are the same people, but I have to mention their content because I tell you what, every single one, a gem. Down the Rabbit Hole, who I'm not quite sure is still over here or not, or whether he's gone back, but he's brought out a couple of videos. He did a Game Boy Color Tomb Raider is quite impressive video. Yeah, Tomb Raider, as much as I know it as a 3D product, the Game Boy Color, a handheld, how do you do Tomb Raider? They did a sideways flashback type game. If anybody doesn't know what flashback is, it's sort of like a rotoscoped animated sideways view where you have to jump up on ledges and there's lots of animation. It looks very smooth. It's a puzzle element. Pull this lever, go back down, go round, pick up the diamond, move forward, pull another lever, shoot some creatures that are trying to attack you, etc, etc. Looked great for a Game Boy Color game. My God, we're talking how underpowered. He also did Arcade Avalanche on My MAME, which is a game with a paddle. He wanted to know what it was like on his MAME cabinet. Would it work? And it did. And then he did a really fun one for his friend. His friend who he works with owns a Volvo station wagon. He's got a game called Gran Turismo, which he's having most immense fun with. And he thought, can I buy this Volvo station wagon in the game? And he could. And then he said, can I paint it the same colour as the person that I work with? And he could. And then he raced it. Absolutely marvellous. How fun is that? I ought to do that. I ought to know a little bit more about Mamemeister's car and his BMW and start spraying it the same colour and then race around the track in his car. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Then we've got gaming royalty. So as much as we've had film royalty with Mondo, gaming royalty. Who is that name? Robert's Retro Gaming. Yes, what can I say? Oh my God, very quickly, he has done Minecraft Skyblock episode 1 and 2, a new chapter in Minecraft. Dwarf Fortress episode 17 and 18, gameplay of the Atari ST's Arkanoid and Gauntlet, gameplay of the SNES Castlevania 4 and Populous, Spectrum gameplay of Dan Terrific, I think it's called, Commodore 64 gameplay of an old classic that I loved, Zenji, and an 8-bit version of, so that's the Atari, Final Orbit. Every single one, brilliant. Watched every single one, liked every single one. Fantastic stuff. Sad news now. So we move on to Steve's gaming. Sad news in the fact that he's now taking a break. Understandable. Going through a few things. I hope it's not for good. I've loved to be able to meet Steve. It's one of my things on my to-do list before I turn into worm food. I really want to sort of like stick my middle finger up at him in real life. Bastard. Only joking. But let's talk about what he did this week. He finished off Planet Crafter episode 71 to 76. A great shame. There was more to do, but it was getting to the point for him, and this is where I understand it, that because of the way he played it, things were stacking up that he needed to do that were not good for a streaming service. So he was wandering around making things try to move forward as fast as possible, where those things should have been done early so that things moved faster later on in the game. So he'd done all the exploring bit, he'd gone back and forth over the same things over and over again, when actually they should have been done when his technology was at a level for him to do that. And I don't care, because it was 76 episodes of absolute pure entertainment. The amount of times he died through lack of oxygen, all of that sort of stuff, will be in my mind for a year. Lovely guy, lovely stuff. And he didn't want to end with just being a Planet Crafter stuff, so he did some Commodore 64 gameplay on Cursed Tomb and Arcade Days, and some Spectrum classics to end on, and then did a very sentimental end of outro with shout outs to me and a number of my friends, for which I'm eternally grateful to. Thank you so much. If only I could do as good as you. If only I could do a Planet Crafter episodic guide like you did to carry on the baton. I have tried with something called Astroneer. Steve, I'd like your opinion. Would Astroneer make a good episodic thing? I've played it. It's got me intrigued, but I'm not so sure. Let me know in your comments. 20th Century Gaming, we move on to. By the way, salute, my friend. You are going to be missed, specifically by me, but by everybody that supported you the last 3 years. 20th Century Gaming, playing games, but also guessed the tune. He blanked out the screen, played the beginning music of the game, then unblanked it after everybody had had a go at guessing the tune and played the game. What brilliant. What a different way of doing something. I hadn't thought of something like that. It brings you into play. Do you see what I mean? Instead of just watching something, it makes you think and introduces you and encourages you to type something in and says, oh, I know what that is. That's Trolley Wally. You got 10 seconds to do it in, and then basically you feel better in yourself, and then you watch him play the game. Absolutely fantastic. Carry that on, matey. Loved it. Colin Jones, aka Ponder, very late watching this, but he did actually do something called the Everything C64 Challenge. He played a game called Balls Like a Frog. It's a game based on something I've played for years and years and years by PopCap Games and in the arcades, but it's a homebrew game. It's very much like a game, and I think it was called Zulu. It's a frog in the center firing marbles, and you have to color the marbles, get a trail of 3 colors the same, and they explode and go. All the time the marbles are moving round towards you. Fantastic game. Used to play it on PopCap Games when I was on Yahoo Messenger. And then, of course, we've got my good mate, Mamemeister. What can I say about Mamemeister? Always been my friend, encouraged me to be here. So it's his fault. You can blame him. Go to his channel and say, that bastard Del, it's your fault you got him into this. How are you going to do to get him off? Something like that. Pound his channel, but whatever you do, subscribe. He did a Sunday live stream where he did the X68000, for which he'll be doing another one tonight. A Friday waffle on Saturday. The reason for that was Friday was out of the question for him this week. Nothing wrong with doing a Friday waffle on a Saturday. And he repeated a past glory of making it very personal and playing his music. Stuff that he remembers. The tapestry of his life in music. And that's brilliant. He knew that that would get copyright strikes. You had to be there to actually watch the waffle this week. If you're not there, you ain't going to see it. He did cut down the last one. I'm unsure, and I would find it doubtful he'll cut down this one. There might be less copyright strikes. He might be able to do it. I don't know. And then he played a game that I bought for him. That was very nice of him. I bought him a game because I like buying my mates things. And I saw something and I went, do you know what? While I'm playing this, do you know the person that I think would get the most respect out of this game? My mate Mamemeister. It was in the sale, 60% off. Bought it, sent it to him, thinking to myself, he'll just put it in his collection. He'll come to it at some point. Within 2 days, he's playing this game and he did an hour-long special on it. My God, how right was I? But I didn't know. And he was just saying how wonderful it was. I mean, no game is perfect. There are a few things that I've actually gone onto their Discord channel about and said, do you know what? You could do this slightly better, that slightly better, add this, take that away. There's stuff. But it's as damn close a fun a game as you're going to get to virtual racing, but in a GP Grand Prix format. Brilliant. And that is the end of that. We now do what I bought and then the trailers, and we might just be around about at the longest I've ever been for a blog, but close to what I normally do. So with this, we'll change to Galaxy Note Cam. Here we go. Stuff that has arrived this week. Tom Cruise Collateral Steelbook from HMV. I love the film Collateral. I'm not a big Michael Mann fan, but Collateral I really, really did enjoy. I'm looking forward to knowing what the 4K does to the picture on that. But more, I'm looking forward to going back to the film that I haven't watched for a while. Rocky 5 finally turned up. Yes, I've got them all. Rocky 5 was missing. That's because I did a stupid thing in the fact that somebody mentioned that the lowest ever price of the film was now at Amazon. Cancelled the $29.99 order. It was at $19.99 and didn't see the email to say that it was a mistake they made and they cancelled my order. So I had to reorder it. I had to reorder it after it came out, but I was lucky that it didn't sell out. There is Rocky 5, the Steelbook. I now have them all with the same type of cover. And of course, you know that I fixed all of the old issues with the Rocky set by the disc replacement program. So I've got them in perfect condition. A little bit late as well, Purple Rain. This is in homage to my friend Dottie, or his name is Steve, who lives in my same town. Big Prince fan. I used to rib him all the time about Purple Rain. What, that Ponce on a bike going around in a film. I'm looking forward to actually looking back at this. The music, at least, is going to be good, even if because I do remember seeing the film and going, yeah, what a shit. Maybe I've got a better understanding and an appeal for it. My Steelbook has now arrived at Goodfellas. That's the latest releases from the Film Vault series. These are cheap Steelbook versions of the big boxes. I've got the big boxes. I've only selected certain ones to be in Steelbook. This one's come through, so that means I'm on target to getting them all. And at the moment, there are no hiccups so far. So that will continue into next week. While I was out with my friends on Wednesday, as I said, we went to Kex, we went to charity shops, At the charity shop, I bought the Chronicles of Narnia for £2, 4 discs, £2, 50 pence each, in a lovely box, not too bad a condition, bit battered, but basically it's a digi-type setup, and what can I say? £2. It was a must buy. It also allowed me to say to Ian Hill, I got it cheaper than you get. What more? I mean, win-win, isn't it, really? What can I say? Then we have got one that I've wanted to buy for ages. It was only on the Criterion edition. It was expensive, I thought, for a Blu-ray. I bit the bullet. I was at HMV, it was on the shelf, and I thought, now's the time. It'll probably be put down in price now. I think it did come out in 4K, but only in the States. What film am I talking about? The Irishman. Martin Scorsese's big Netflix production in a Criterion Collection box set from 2019. So you can see I've waited quite some time for it. The price is still on the backlog. I mean, that is expensive for a Blu-ray set. Saying that, I'm glad it's in my collection. I liked The Irishman when it was on Netflix. A lot of people poo-pooed it because of the special effects of making Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and that older and younger all the way through the film, because they flipped back and forth in years. But to me, it didn't distract at all. So I'm, looking forward to that. And then I managed to pick up a very cheap copy of The Runaway. It finishes my collection of those sort of films that were done by Michael Crichton, because you'll see that I've done a capsule review of Looker in particular. There was one other that I did, didn't I? I can't quite remember what it was. It'll come to me. We haven't got a lot of time, so I do apologise. But this was on 101 Films. It's got a Jerry Goldsmith score. So basically, what's not to like. And I'm looking forward to revisiting that. And that's the lot. I moved to here just while I set up the trailers. I won't miss the trailers. I'll only be able to play a couple of them. Sit back, relax, listen. I will turn the mic off and take you to the other view.
Hey, come on, I'll take it.
I got 5 stops to make.
What's your name?
Max.
Max. I'm Vincent. I'll meet you in the alley behind the building.
Oh, no! What the hell? You killed him.
Red light, Max.
Hold on.
Man, you were gonna drive me around tonight and never be the wiser, but we're into plan B. Now, we gotta make the best of it. Improvise, adapt to the environment. Whatever, man, we gotta roll with it.
You just met him once and you kill him like that?
What, I should only kill people after I get to know them?
I'm not up for this.
What are you gonna do about it?
There's a man named Vincent.
I got another DOA.
He's already killed witnesses. He's coming to kill you.
Max! I do this for a living!
What's going? What's my work? Gotta roll with it. Adapt.
Get your hands in the air! That's funny, coming from you. Slow down!
Shoot me!
Why did Jack quit the regular force?
Yeah, why'd he quit Marvel?
What'd he tell you?
He tell me because of Vertigo, but I don't believe him.
A few years back, Jack was chasing this guy. Bad guy. This guy ran into a building that was under construction. Jack freaked out, started sweating, couldn't follow him. The guy got away. Later that night, that same guy killed 6 people.
Is that why he's a robot expert?
It's always on his mind. The guy that got away.
Retinal identification is now being carried out.
You know anything about robotics and computers?
Jack, look at this. You've heard of a bullet that has your name on it? You see that red stripe? It's not a regular commercial chip. This isn't a runaway. This is murder.
He's killed 5 so far. I want him.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'm going in.
When you're going in, we can send a disarm robot.
It'll hit the disarm, and any minute it's going to decide to hit the kid.
Hey, you got that floater yet?
Didn't you ever want to work the regular force?
This is the regular force. I sort of fell into it by accident. Then I kind of liked it, so I took some night courses in robotics, APL, that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, I just seemed to know more about it than anybody else.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
I'm glad you're satisfied, Dr. Luther.
Satisfied? I'm delighted. I'm ecstatic.
It's good. Good.
Where are the chips?
Damn evil son of a bitch!
These aren't all the chips. And where are the templates to make more?
Runaway. Tom Selleck. Cynthia Rhodes. Gene Simmons. Runaway.
You can't run away, Ramsey. I'll find you.
It's over. They're all gone. Frank, it's time. It's time you say what happened.
Frank, I want you to meet my cousin, Russell Buffalino.
Better watch. There's a lot of tough guys around here. Did he tell you? You're not afraid of tough guys, are you? I didn't think so.
I was one of 1,000 working stiffs until I wasn't no more.
You got a good friend here. You don't know how good a friend you got.
Russell, he took a shine to me right away. After a while, he started giving me little things to do. I know you read a lot of things about me. I just want to say I'm sorry. I know I wasn't a good dad. I know that. I was just trying to protect all of yous.
From what?
You didn't see what I see, what I've been through.
A friend of ours is having a little trouble. Friend at the top.
Hiya, Frank. This is Jimmy Hoffa. Glad to meet you.
Big business and the government is on the attack.
You want to be a part of this fight? A part of this history? Whatever you need me to do, I'm available.
Only 3 people in the world have one of these, and only one of them is Irish. You know how strong I made you?
I know things they don't know I know.
He said that? You sure he said that?
I'm worried nobody threatens Hoffa. I got records, I got tapes. They're done.
I had to put you into this thing.
Sooner or later, everybody put here as a date when he's gonna go.
I know how you feel, Frank. Trust me, I know how you feel. We'll bring you back after you get your car.
Nearly forgot to put the microphone on back then, so there we go. Really looking forward to seeing The Irishman again. Runaways. Actually, while I was looking at that, that's a film from, what, 1987? Did we have many drone surveillance things used by the police to enter house at the time? So going back to Steve's question in regards to films that depict something that actually is an event that's happened, drones to be used to go into unknown territories. Wow. Possibly, but I might be thinking actually that drones were around then, but that's a possibility. Collateral, going back to that film, I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember seeing it at the cinema, loved it, haven't seen it since. So, looking forward to that one. And with that, we've come to the end. What a week. What a blog. Thank you so much for letting me relive it with you. A good week. A better week. Let's build upon that. Couple of rough slides along the way. Hasn't fazed me. And with that, I'm going to say salute and wish every single one of my friends, and they know who they are, the most wonderful week you can absolutely have. And thank you to those people that are supporting me by watching. I do hope that you'll hit the like if you're not going to subscribe. But I also hope that you might want to join me on this adventure as I continue it into the next one, which is what, 129? Oh my God. If you can take the strain. And with that, salute. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Till next week.